Getting from 0 to 10K a month as a coach is by far the hardest part. But once you're at 10K a month, how do you scale beyond that point? Well, back in 2021, I was asking myself the same question. I was running a successful coaching business, making good money, but I was burned out from all the one-on-one calls and spending countless hours on social media. I wanted to grow my business, but I knew I couldn't do more of the same. Fast forward 2 years, and a lot has changed. I'm running a multi-six-figure coaching business today, making between 30 and 80K every single month. And I've learned that scaling a coaching business is not rocket science, but it does require the right strategy and many of the keys that I'm about to share with you in this video. So if you're ready to scale as a coach past 10K a month, keep watching because I'm about to show you how. Hey, my name's Jason Moss, and I help coaches launch and grow their businesses. And before we dive in, if you're looking for a roadmap you can follow to help you sign more coaching clients more consistently, I put together a free client attraction guide you're definitely gonna wanna check out too. And all you gotta do to get this is click the link above or in the description down below. So when it comes to scaling a coaching business past 10K a month, the number one key to scale is to create more leverage in your business. And what is leverage? Basically, leverage is how you get more with less of you. So if we think about the farming industry, for example, and I'm not a farmer, so I've never farmed something myself. I don't know exactly how it works, but I imagine when people first started farming, they were going out and they were planting seeds by hand. And then suddenly one day the tractor came along. And so what used to take 10 hours now only took someone 1 hour to do the exact same amount of work because the tractor was a form of leverage, basically allowing them to get more with less. And when it comes to getting more clients, scaling your business, getting beyond that 10K a month, the number one key to success is to create more leverage in every aspect of your business. The best coaches, the best entrepreneurs, the people who are running multi-6, 7-figure plus coaching business are masters at creating leverage and looking for ways that they can do that more effectively in every aspect of their coaching business. So I want to walk through each of the parts of your coaching business in this video and show you how I've been able to scale my business by creating more leverage in each of those areas and literally just show you kind of like, here's what we did in order to make that happen so you can take that, apply that, and scale your business too. So the first area that we want to look at when it comes to creating more leverage is marketing. Marketing is really going to dictate everything else because the number of leads that you have coming into your business will determine what you can do in terms of your offers, how many clients you can sign. All of that starts with marketing, right? So when I look at the first year of my coaching business, what I was doing to market my business was a lot of non-leveraged forms of marketing. In other words, I was spending a lot of time having conversations with people in the DMs, doing outreach. This is great when you're first getting started and you're scaling up to that 10K a month mark. But what starts to happen as you grow your business is those forms of marketing, particularly forms of marketing where you're communicating one-to-one with people, starts to break down because you can only have so many conversations, right? And you can only do so much with an hour of your time if you're doing that. So when we look at how to scale on the marketing side, what we look at is creating more leverage here. And that means transitioning more towards creating assets that can do your marketing for you at scale. So for example, when I create a video like this, it's still maybe a half an hour of my time, but this video can be seen by hundreds of people and allow hundreds of people to warm up to me. Versus if I'm just having a DM conversation with one person, I can spend the same amount of time, but I'm only gonna be able to build a relationship with one person at once. Looking at how you can create more leverage through transitioning towards creating assets, towards creating content that will allow you to scale your reach and communicate one-to-many versus one-to-one. That is probably one of the biggest keys to success when it comes to scaling your marketing and just bringing in more leads. We can also look at, rather than you spending your time to create content, things like paid traffic, where you can actually exchange your money for attention because that scales infinitely, right? We only have 24 hours in a day, but theoretically we have an unlimited amount of money that we can dedicate towards investing into paid traffic and actually using money as a currency to gain attention. So these forms of marketing are inherently more leveraged because we have more money than time. Time is a limited resource, money is an unlimited resource, and forms of marketing like content that will allow you to communicate one-to-many are much more leveraged. So looking at your marketing today and what you're doing to market your coaching business and asking yourself, how can I create more leverage here through maybe focusing more on creating content and less on one-to-one conversations and doing more of the selling through my marketing and maybe even stepping into things like paid traffic and forms of marketing that will allow me to scale my my reach without being dependent on my time. So that moves us on to the second piece of your business, which is your offer and delivery. So when it comes to scaling a coaching business past 10K a month, one of the other big shifts that you'll need to make is in terms of your offer and how you're delivering coaching. Most of the coaches I work with, when they're sub 10K a month, are doing one-to-one coaching. This is what I did when I first got started. It's a great way to start. One-to-one is the easiest way to get to 10K a month. It's an easier thing to sell than group coaching and even online courses where you're gonna make less money per sale. So one-to-one is a great way to get started. And oftentimes what happens, and this happened for me, is you get to a point where you're taking on so many one-to-one clients and you've maxed out your schedule and your calendar and you can't work with any more clients. So the key to scaling beyond typically that 10K a month mark is we start to look at more leveraged forms of delivering your offer that again will allow you to communicate one-to-many instead of one-on-one. So this might be like a group coaching program where rather than delivering a session one-on-one where you're only working with one person at once, you can get on a group call with 10 or 15 people and spend the same amount of time but deliver so much more value for a wider group of people, which again allows you to take on more clients. That's how we were able to scale past 10K a month. We transitioned away from one-on-one coaching and built a group coaching, which now has become Coaching Launchpad, which is our core offer, right? So you can do things like group coaching, online courses, and more leveraged forms of coaching where you're using recorded trainings and things to supplement your coaching. So rather than having to deliver everything live with, your time, you can use forms of delivery where basically you're detached from the delivery itself. So I can give somebody a set of trainings or resources that I've recorded once, but I don't have to be there again and again and again to deliver them. That is another way that you might create more leverage. So looking at your offer today and looking at how you're delivering that and asking yourself, how can I create more leverage? A couple of points I want to share on this. The first thing is it's really important that your marketing scales first. A lot of people transition into group coaching too soon, and they don't have the lead flow to be able to support the increased volume that they're going to need in order to fill the group program. So they end up like having one really good launch, and then the second launch kind of sucks, and then the third launch, they're struggling to fill seats. And it happens because they don't spend the time first to scale their marketing. So we always want to start there. And once your lead flow increases, then you can transition to something like a group coaching program. There's also some intermediary steps. So a lot of people think it's like a black and white switch, like I'm either doing one-to-one or like a big group coaching program. And for a lot of clients I work with, it's more like a series of mini steps. So we might look at doing like small groups or like little mini cohorts where maybe you're working with like a group of 3 or 4 people in one little cohort at once. Or you can look at things like supplementing your one-to-one with recorded training. So maybe rather than coaching offer being 12 hours of your time, you can figure out how to cut it down to 6 hours by supplementing your coaching with some recordings. So now you can scale a little bit further. So there are some intermediary steps that often are useful in terms of transitioning over to group. It's not like a black and white switch. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes it is, and sometimes that's what you want. But oftentimes we can take baby steps there. And so overall, the key, again, going back to leverage, is how can you create more leverage in terms of how you're delivering your offer so that you can show up and serve more clients with less or at least equal of the time that you're spending today. That is probably one of the biggest keys when it comes to scaling past that 10K a month mark as a coach. And finally, that moves us on to leveraged operations. So the operations of your business, basically how you're choosing to manage the back end, all of the administrative work involved in running your business, basically all the stuff that isn't like your zone of genius showing up and actually coaching. This is a big key to success in terms of scaling a business, and oftentimes a big place where people get stuck. Particularly when I look at my own journey, I have struggled in the past with delegating. I think it's still a little bit of a challenge for me because I tend to hang on to control far longer than I should. And so when I was looking at scaling, one of the things I had to look at was, okay, well, what are all these things that I'm doing in my business that really I don't need to be doing? Like a lot of back-end admin work that I could hire somebody to do, maybe for, $25, $30 an hour, and actually free my time up to be able to focus on higher leverage things in my business. So one of the biggest keys is once we get beyond that 10K a month mark, we start to look at how we can build out a team to help and support you. And when it comes to doing this, I think the most effective way to think about this is to come up with a price value for an hour of your time. So if you look at how many hours you're spending working, let's say per week or per month in your business, and how much money you're making, and you divide the amount of money you're making by the amount of hours you're working, you should be able to come up with a dollar figure for an hour of your time. And then you can look at all of the different things that you're doing in your business and asking yourself, okay, this one task that I'm spending an hour on every day, like if I had to pay somebody else to do this, how much would I pay this person for their time? And if that amount of money is below what your hourly rate is, it's an absolute no-brainer. You should go out and hire that person to replace the labor that you're doing for that task. So looking at how you can create more leverage in terms of building a team, in terms of having other people who are there to support you. One of the first hires that people will typically make is a virtual assistant. This is kind of like a catch-all person in your business who can do a lot of the kind of more admin type work and back-end work that, might be several hours at least of your time every single week. So looking at that as a first hire often is a good place to start. And then as you scale, you can look at hiring, like we have a client success person who works with our clients inside of our program and some other things like that, video editors and graphic designers and people like that to support you more on the content creation side of things. So there's lots of different ways that you can look at scale in terms of leveraging a team, but this is going to be a big key to success because if you're trying to do everything yourself, you can only do so much. And you're gonna get to a certain point where you're just gonna burn out because there's just too much work to do. So going back to the key point of this video, if there's nothing else that you take away, it's the concept of leverage and asking yourself in every aspect of my business, and you can sit down and journal on this, like how can I create more leverage in this area and that area so I can get more out of my business with less of me. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for a roadmap that you can follow to get on track to signing more coaching clients more consistently, I recommend that you download our free client attraction guide. It walks through so much of my best advice to help you do this, and it's completely free. All you gotta do to get it is click the link above or in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna love that one too. So click the link on the screen to go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.